What up, my freaks? RuinousInsight here with part 16 of my Total Warhammer II modded Arkhan the Black campaign. So as we saw last time, we have taken the first step in the destruction of the Dune Kingdoms by taking out Bagar. Now we will have to choose whether we head down to Antok first or to the Springs of Eternal Life, basically playing a bit of a guessing game as to where the enemy armies are. I don't expect that they're at the Springs of Eternal Life. Ideally, what I'd like to do is send one army to take the Springs and one army to siege Antok. The only problem with that is if their main host is sitting in Kasabar, they could attack the Springs of Eternal Life and take one of our weaker army out. And we will obviously need Arkhan to siege us. I'm hoping that if we send you here, maybe we'll be able to see what's going on. I'd like to do this in like a few turns, and as few turns as possible, I should say. Anyway, in the west, we also have the dwarf situation. Now, they are rebuilding their army after being destroyed by swarms of ghouls repeatedly, and I think that we should be able to take them out. Now, Vulture Mountain is going to need a siege because they have a ton of these damn Longbeards, and that's obviously an issue, but we are starting to get some better units into our secondary army, so as soon as that's ready to go, we'll be in a good place. Now, two things for King Wakhoff the Desert Ghoul. First, we're going to temporarily get the Chosen of the Gods, Ushabti with Great Bow, that we have unlocked into his army. The main reason for this is that they're a great unit, and we need... there's no opportunity cost for using them here. We can just use them because they don't cost us anything. And we could just hand them off to the Ushabti Bow Lord when he comes around. In addition to that, King Wakhoff is going to need his caster, so let's get him up and running. Now, I was debating between the episodes myself whether to go for a Lich Priest of Light or a Lich Priest of Death. I feel like Death does very much work with the ghouls. However, looking at the abilities, just, let's see, Spirit Leech is great. I love Spirit Leech. But King Wakhoff is a single-target duelist. He has no mount, and he's quite good at that sort of thing himself. So I'm fairly confident he can take out Lords. The other stuff, like Aspect of the Dread Knight and Causing Terror, Leadership is great, and Terror is great. But... and it will prevent us from marauding, but the rest of the stuff, let's see, minus 22 leadership on the enemy. Soulblight is a great, fairly cheap debuff that gives debuff to melee attack, defense, leadership, and damage. Soulblight is the thing that makes me kind of consider this. And of course, Fate of Biuna would also be helpful in deleting any special units, but at the end of the day, I feel like maybe we should just go for a Lich Priest of Light. I suppose we could always switch later if it doesn't work. What I'm thinking here is that the Lich Priest of Light has Foz Protection, which is one of my favorite defensive spells, because it's super cheap, super spammable, and that's a lot of melee defense, and damage resistance, which the ghouls can really use as they're fairly fragile. Now, they also could use some more attack power, and we do get the Barona's Time Warp, especially popping this onto the Crypt Horrors would be quite lovely as well. We don't really get any benefit out of the Net of Amantok here unless we're trying to tie down a Cav unit, and Banishment is fine, but it's a little bit expensive, and I prefer the spammy kind of low-cost spells. Unless it's something super clutch. I mean, Banishment can definitely be clutch. Not so much as a Wind of Death, of course, but that spell's obnoxious, and it always has been. Anyway, that's my reasoning. I'm gonna go for the Lich Priest of Light for now. Also, it feels like maybe for Wakhoff, with the, like, Shem's Burning Gaze and stuff, Wakhoff's the desert fighter, coming out of the desert with the burning sun at his back. Something like that, maybe, I don't know. Like I said, both Light and Death make sense. I'm not going to get too into his army. Let's see what we're going to get him. Replenish troops, obviously, and, I would love to get Canopic Jar Holder. I'm almost tempted to skip out on Replenish troops and go for Canopic Jars, but we need to max out Foz Protection. I would like to get at least 1 point in Barona's Time Warp. You know what? Let's try that before anything else. Shem's Burning Gaze, Exorcism, max out Foz Protection. Or maybe 2 points in Foz Protection, 1 point in the Light of Battle. Here's the thing. Does anybody know how the Light of Battle works with undead units? So it applies Unbreakable, and I haven't actually looked into this. So if a unit that is undead is already crumbling, Will it continue crumbling, or will it stop crumbling? Does it lock it at the leadership it is in, or does it max leadership, sort of pseudo-max leadership, and then apply Unbreakable? It would be really nice if this worked for Undead, but I'm genuinely curious. We're obviously going to test this out, but it's hard to do so unless you have unless you have a crumbling unit, isn't it? But it would really help our ghouls from dying. I feel like most of the units we've lost are the ones that have dropped to half HP and then suffered a leadership shock and then just plain died, which is why I would like to get the Light of Battle. Anyway, we're going to go with Faucet Protection for now. We'll get this later. Let's go for 1 point in Barona's Time Warp. Oh, and then I guess we got to get another point in Magical Reserves. We'll wait for the rest later. We will test out the Death Priest as well afterwards, as I said. Now, okay, this place is good. I did spend all the money between episodes. The main thing is I'm destroying this ancient burial mound that gives us the Crypt Horrors to replace it with this one, which we will upgrade to the to the next level, giving us the... Wait. That's not what I want to do. This is going to be already upgraded. This is going to be destroyed. Oh, right. This is going to be destroyed so we can replace it with the Sepulchre. So we can finally freaking get some of these ghost units. That will mean we will be able to get Karen rates and Hex rates fairly soon, as this Tomb City is already being upgraded. I'm really happy with that. It'll be a while before we get the Mortis engine, but I'm happy that we can finally start getting those ghost units into Arkhan's army. We've been waiting for a while. It's starting to irk me a little bit. He needs his ghosts in here. Anyway, I believe that's the end of this turn, so we're gonna end it. And let's see if these guys manage to do anything. They could have more armies here. It's always hard to tell with the with fighting Tomb Kings just how many stacks they have out there. They clearly have at least one, judging by the balance of power, possibly two. Question is, where are they? Are you raiding our territory, or are you raiding these guys' territory? How are you doing out here? Dynasty Research, Ancient Battle Sites, Swell, Xandri, Land of the Dead. Are you still raiding filthy freaking beastmen? And, oh wow, they died to attrition, didn't they? Okay, well that's fine. Raiding is fine. How's the temple go? Oh, you know what, we need to upgrade this. But, yeah, we can't afford to lose Xandri. We also need to get our gemstone mine here. Let's see if our hero can't identify... You know what, let's move him here to the Springs of Eternal Life. I don't think there's anybody here. But you never know. Honestly, if they have a full stack here, that would be ideal for us. I think it's empty. Oh, hello. What do we have here? King Kagatef, you, my friend, are in march stance. Now... King Kura can't actually reach the Springs of Eternal Life. Oh, okay, well that kind of solves the situation. Why is your movement range so much shorter than Arkhan's? Huh. Wait, what? Don't you also have the Out of the Skies buff? Yeah, so you also have the plus 20 campaign movement range. So Arkhan clearly has something else that makes him move quite a bit further. Well, he can move in here and attack the Springs of Eternal Life. What I'm hoping is that there's not another full stack right here, and that they all attack us next turn. Wait, are we able to reach this guy, or are we not? Oh, man. He's in march stance, and he's right there. It would be a free kill. Or it could be a free kill, rather. I guess we risk it. It says 0, but we might just be in range. It's impossible to tell. I don't see the red arrow. Alright, just try it. Just try it, Arkhan. Good luck, buddy. We should be able to auto-resolve this fight either way. Oh, there's the other stack. Well, at least this one's dead in its march stance. Hopefully we don't take too many losses. Oh, wow. Broken freaking auto-resolve, damaging all our Caskets of Souls. I don't appreciate it. We're gonna have to... Oh, and of course Bind Souls doesn't give us back... Really? Really, game? You're gonna pull that? Okay. So annoying. I guess we gotta have to go with Bind Souls rather than Harvest Ogre. I should have just fought this. We would have taken 0 damage. I just didn't expect this. Auto-resolve used to do this. It used to kill all of your artillery while the rest of your army was fine. And this is absolutely silly because they don't actually have the kind of troops needed to actually do this, like at all. Ridiculous. Yeah, let's bind souls at least for the archers, just in case we have to fight these guys, which we probably will. Now, here's the question. Can you reach Bagar Magar can't really defend itself. It really depends on how many units this guy's able to output. Well, this guy stands no chance against Arkhan. I think what I want to do is I want to sit on the edge right here. And I want to go into ambush. So my reasoning here is that if this guy tries to... Oh, he can't reach it, so he has to go for Arkhan. This guy still might, though, if he can move as far as Arkhan. On the other hand, I don't really expect that he can. We could have also tried to attack this force. Just leave them alone for now. We'll see if they stay here or if they run away. I don't want to be chasing them, and I do want this guy able to reinforce Arkhan if needed. So I think that's good. Plane of Tuskers could use an upgrade, but we'll check what else could use an upgrade in a second. Oh, Wadiel Tabuk. I want to get that Ancient Burial Mound going, but I also want the Sepulchre going. Finally. Ghost units, please. Alright, that I'm going to be happy with. This, we're going to need to save a little cash. You know what? Let's not spend too much cash right now. We're going to save it for the rest of what we're looking for. Now, if this is going to be a pretty much all military building, other than probably a treasure tomb, because it's nearby provinces, so we'll probably still need to build that here. What else can we build here at level 3? We should build a Tomb Guard unit here. Because our new legendary Lord King Setep is going to be Tomb Guard and Necropolis Knights. So, Tomb Guard, let's get you in here as well. That does spend a little cash, but we should still get enough to upgrade. We'll be a little bit short. Whatever, it's not a huge deal. It's not a huge deal. King Wakoff, you're going to attack in a second. You are exhausted, Tolathor, so you can't do anything. And, we're going to have to delete one of these bats, I think, or maybe one of these wolves. What do we want to delete? I'm just thinking to get the caster in. Let's siege first. Oh, are you still suffering attrition if you're sieging? I really don't want these guys to build up their army. We might have to back off, I don't know. Where we still suffer attrition, let's find out. Continue siege. You are not suffering attrition. Okay, beautiful. Beautiful. Let us delete... Direwolves are really helpful, but these guys go up the walls, but against the dwarves that's not super effective. You know what, yeah, let's delete the bats. Delete one unit of bats, and then send in the clowns. I mean, send in the Lich Priest. There we go. Replenish troops. Okay, that works. Hopefully that guy doesn't get killed, but now King Wakoff has his caster. You are gonna wait. I mean, we're probably gonna keep sieging this. I don't think the dwarves will attack us. I mean, they did before, though. With a weaker stack than this. Do we cancel recruitment and just move here? Just to prevent the risk? How long do we have to siege this for? 11 turns, surrender. Turns remaining before garrison will run out of supplies, 5. Maybe they will attack us here. The auto-resolve is in our favor. Oddly enough.
Arise, my legions.
You know, let's stay here. If we have to back off for one turn, we'll have to back off. It's not a big deal. I'd rather get this to a full stack, because we have to wait here anyway, and if we're waiting and these guys don't attack, then we can get this army to full before we move in anyway. Okay, so that's good. We have Dynasty Research available. I did want to get the first Dynasty plans just for the armor for the Nehekaran Warriors. What else can we get here, though? We got an Necropolis Knights upgrade. We got the... Oh, right, more missile strength for Skull Catapult and Casket of Souls. That's nice. We could also get the Herald of Rosetra, but it'll cost so much. I was thinking about putting this into Arkhan's army as per a suggestion in one of the previous episodes, just to get the extra buff towards the Legion of Stonewrath Tarn. Is there anything here that buffs artillery? I don't see anything unless I'm missing it. I unfortunately don't see... Huh, this is only for Tomb Scorpions? Oh, okay, we gotta make somebody that has a lot of Tomb Scorpions. Somebody to transfer Snuggles to, with a bunch of other Tomb Scorpions in tow. Anyway. I guess we gotta go with Ancient Quarries for now. And we will go for a Lamazaj after that for the Ushabti. Now, with regards to the missing points, and you know what, I'll talk while the turn is ending. With regards to the missing points that we have, somebody did suggest several methods, both via cheat engine, and I believe there was a mod, and I believe there was some other option of doing this. Oh, they are indeed attacking Arkhan. Okay, good luck with that. These guys are going to get absolutely destroyed. Why would they even do this? They have no chance here. The artillery are just going to destroy them. Okay, well, they're nuts. We're gonna fight this cinematically, but it's gonna be absolutely destroyed. But yeah, as I was saying, I will think about how to get the points back. It is really annoying to have lost like 4 points on several of our lords, as most importantly, as I said last time, on Arkhan, who has very few points to begin with, to spread out among his massive skill tree. And yeah, we gotta look into that. Anyway, let's fight this for now. Alright, here we go. Arkhan and 3 units of artillery against a bunch of chaff infantry. That's basically what this battle is going to be, and it is necessitating a completely different setup than what I usually do. So all 4 of our units of Whites of Stonewrath Tarn are standing on top of the artillery and on top of our range units. Obviously, the reason for this is that the enemy lords can charge that stuff and easily kill one of the caskets, or the Ushabti are going to get summoned, as they always get summoned right on top of the caskets as well. Instead, our front line are going to be the Nehekaran warriors, but I don't actually expect the enemy army to ever reach our front lines. I mostly expect them all to die here as they try to approach. Of course, the main host belonging to the enemy is actually approaching from the back, so they're going to take a long time to slowly waddle their way up those hills and towards our army. Now, the beginning of this battle is going to be a couple of volleys into the skeleton spears, which are basically destroyed now, and the enemy foolishly charging one of its chariot units at Snuggles. I don't know what the hell they thought they were going to achieve here, because Snuggles instantly destroys 2 of the chariots, and the chariots then start running away into range of our range units, as well as Arkhan and the following up Necrotech. And they do the same thing here. Okay, yeah, well, Snuggles wanted to play anyway, so this certainly works out. And these guys, they're also going to get wrecked, even if we don't have the mass on Arkhan or the Necrotech, since they are mountless. They're holding these guys in place fairly well, and then the chariots are just going to explode. And then, oh, are you going to do a suicidal charge here? Oh, wait, are those tomb guards riding the chariots? Judging by the hat, that looked like a tomb guard, not a skeleton spear. Could be wrong, though. Do skeleton spears have hats? That seems like too fancy of a hat for a skeleton spear. Yeah, see, this is exactly what I'm talking about. Skeleton warriors, no hats. Skeleton spears, no hats. I guess that's a tomb guard. Rude. Because they're not on our side. Let's see. Oh, these guys are in range, and I don't know why they're standing over here. I don't believe I use any kind of spell at them. I just think the AI doesn't know what to do here. And now Snuggles and the Lords are basically chasing their Lord around. We do have a Spirit Leech going on him. We also are summoning our Undead. We got the first summon from the skill of the Lich Priest, and then we have the second summon coming off from Arkhan with regards to the regular zombies. And then this Tomb King dies pretty darn quickly. Already almost dead. He's on his mount, so he could have gotten away and then rejoined that army, but instead he's going to get snipped and snapped and broken apart. And you gonna die now, buddy? Nearly so. I just want to see who gets the killing blow, and it looks like... Come on. He has like no HP, guys. Don't let him run. Snuggles, chase him down. Okay, looks like he actually managed to pull out of there. And in the meantime, this is exactly what I was talking about. The enemy giant pile of force. I guess we don't really need to see him die. Let's watch this insanity. Why you... This approach is just the stupidest thing. Into the artillery like this. If only we had a couple more units of Hellstorm rockets. I just love watching those things go to work. Man, a rogue army with both Hellstorm rockets and Caskets of Souls would be disgusting. Although the regular rogue army that has, I believe it's steam tanks and Hellstorm rock, and I think that's what it is. That one's pretty nasty as well. At least in the early game. Alright, so the Lord appears to have died, and these guys are still approaching. They're getting a little bit closer, but not so close to our lines that it really matters. And they're climbing up the hills slowly. You gotta love it when you're facing against the enemy, and the enemy are undead like this. Just how slow they are, just how long it takes them to approach your battle lines. Where's this one gonna land? Let's just check out how much damage we've done. I believe several units are dead. A lot of the units are at half HP. I actually ran Arkhan forward together with Snuggles and the Necrotech, and they are all just, you know, summoning more undead here, keeping everybody from approaching our main line. The only thing is, finally the enemy has lost enough units to summon their level 3rd Realm of Souls Ushabti right on top, as we expected, our Caskets of Souls. So we gotta react to that and just chase them down with all of these Whites of it just looks funny to me. The Ushabti just booking it out of there, being chased by a mob of angry Whites. We just need some yakety sacks up in here. Why must it not be in public domain? Come on, guys. Alright, so obviously these Ushabti aren't going to have a great time. The Kepra Guard are also wanting to get a piece of this, and Ushabti are dropping as they get mobbed by the Whites and the Kepra Guard. So that works out pretty well. Unfortunately, the enemy Lord, actually, the second Lord, goes around and tries to go for the caskets, but I instantly move one of the Whites back to keep protecting them. So our main battle line is basically untouched. We also have this, our ethereal unit, Assyrian's Legion of the Underworld, once again anchoring the battle lines. I move them forward because they take, like, no physical damage, and our heals, minor as they are, since we don't lose enough units to suffer, they keep them topped up anyway. And look, we got a chariot charge right into the Nehekarn warriors, but they charge through them and into the Whites of Stonewrath Tarn, which you can expect is also not going to go down so well. And yes, that does look like a Tomb Guard with a halberd on top of the chariots. Huh, aren't these the basic chariot units? Surprising they can muster up a Tomb Guard for that. Anyway, the main battle here, still zombies, still the eternal fight between undead and undead, all the while our artillery is dropping down. Yes, this is a ludicrously easy battle, but it is a fairly cinematic one, you gotta admit. All this fighting is pretty fun. And once again, I like how the because of the summons, how it's very distributed. We have pockets of fighters everywhere instead of nice and neat battle lines. This makes it feel more realistic, which is weird enough when you're watching zombies fight skeletons. But hey, alright, and there's the crumble. I imagine the enemy Lord has died, or at least the Ushabti have definitely fallen, and so many of the enemies are routing that everything is crumbling. Maybe the Lord is alive. The chariots are still clearly alive. And I love the zombies and the summons just because we can keep spamming our own artillery on top of them, because we don't care about our own casualties. Best part about being undead. And yeah, obviously Skaven slaves are sort of similar, but these guys also don't cost anything, plus they're free summons. I actually do use the same exact strategy with the Skaven, not even with the Skaven slaves, but I like to get 3 of the Skaven Plague Priests in there, the ones that can summon both Vermintide and the I think it's Plague Monks summon at the same time, so you can get so many on the field at once. Anyway, speaking about on the field at once, we are leaving because all the enemies are dead, so let's get to it. Let's try to find a bit of a harder battle next time, shall we? Alright, as we expected, the enemy basic infantry were not going to do much damage. Arkhan did a decent job with his massive amounts of summons, while the artillery were, you know, destroying everybody. Look at that damage dealt, though. 72k, 67k, I don't know what the hell you were doing. 37k. Nearly 38. Those are rookie numbers. Snuggles did pretty good as well, and our ethereal unit anchoring the line perfectly. They actually took really no damage from the enemy. All the damage they took was from that one blast from one of the Caskets of Souls at the end there. Gotta be really careful with that. If all 3 of the caskets had fired at this unit, it would have been destroyed. Granted, we could get it back, but nonetheless. And everybody else was basically on guard duty to try to prevent the caskets from dying, which worked out pretty nicely as well. We're not going to bother healing up because it's basically gives us nothing at this stage. Let's go harvest organs since we get no money for this either way. It looks by the balance of power that the Dune Kingdoms have one more... Oh, they are attacking. Huh. Do we fight this? I feel like we don't. I feel like we have to wait for our second army. Damn, we'll take attrition damage here, unfortunately. And it'll allow them to get extra troops. But despite what the balance of power says, I don't really see us winning this. Mostly because I don't see how we could rout this many Longbeards. Just considering that the ghouls can't hurt them. Like we saw in the last battle, 2 units of ghouls and a unit of bats all surrounding and attacking a single unit of Longbeards in the back without support, and it took like no damage. So clearly what we need is the Crypt Horrors to make the best of this, i.e. 3 of them will say tie up the rest. What happens to the other 4 of these units? Really nothing. Now the Thunderers and the Quarrelers would get wrecked by all of our runners and stuff eventually. And we do have those shot through the Great Bow, but I feel like we might as well play it safe. On the other hand, if we don't lose any units, we might be okay. You know what? It's too tempting. It's too tempting. I'm gonna try to fight it anyway. Obviously, since the last battle was a cinematic, we will have to make a. Oh, damn it! Gonna have to make a cut. But the last battle was so pathetically weak. I feel like it's only right for this battle to be very difficult instead. The universe in harmony. Alright, here we go. I don't know whether we can win, but I am very excited to give this one a try.
Rise!
Alrighty, here we go once again. The ghouls against the dwarves. Now, this is going to be a tough fight, but the ghouls have faced the long odds twice against the dwarves already and have still been victorious. So let's try to make it a three-peat, shall we? Now, one of the best things about this is the fact that the enemy main host is actually coming in as reinforcement, whereas the smaller army is coming out by itself. Obviously, seeing this, instead of trying to make use of the choke point battle, I decided to get our much quicker units moving forward and trying to attack the enemy. I even sent our Crypt Horrors way up ahead, regardless of or heedless of the damage that they would take running into fire. Fortunately, they are a lot more resistant to that sort of thing than the giant pile of ghouls are. And trying to get them to kill these guys really quickly. If we can deprive them of all these extra units before the enemy army gets here, that's certainly going to help us. Obviously, we now actually have our caster, and he's going to come in handy. We are immediately going to get a Baroness Time Warp off for 2 reasons. One is the melee attack, which is lovely for the extra damage, but it also gives us an extra plus 50% speed on the Crypt Horrors. They are charging like maniacs towards these lines, and the dwarves they weren't going to get away from regularly charging Crypt Ghouls. They certainly ain't getting away from Baroness Time Warped Crypt Ghouls. Now, we also have our units of bats and wolves moving up. I did keep 1 unit in reserve, and I did keep several of our other army units in reserve, because my intention here is to destroy this army and then move back. Now, a brief... wait, let's watch a charge, and then I have another thing to say about this whole choke point thing. There we go, charging into the Quarrelers, their mass not doing so much, and not a lot of dwarves going down, but the units take quite a bit of damage very quickly. They dropped about 25% HP, and are still dropping very quickly here. There we go. Obviously, Quarrelers getting wrecked by Crypt Ghoul, or Crypt Horrors, rather. That is completely unsurprising. They do have a unit of Dwarf Warriors here as well, but fortunately, we got 3 more units of Crypt Ghouls moving up in advance. I actually moved up 6 originally, but decided to send 3 back, as the enemy army was approaching quite a bit quicker than I thought that it did. In fact, the same thing sort of goes for both the Fellbats and the dire wolves. They can take a lot of damage to this range fire, and this is exactly the reason we wanted to kill these guys before that they could add their their own fire to this. So we're going to have to get the bats backing off. Right? Damn it, bats backing off immediately, because they've already taken 25% damage from a single volley. Fortunately, at half HP, this Quarler unit is just about dead. Same this one, dropping below half HP, even if a lot of models aren't dead. The miners with blasting charges were actually a primary target, and I did send the direwolves to try to kill them, but they don't die fast enough, unfortunately, due to being mixed up with Quarlers and Dwarf Warriors and sort of protecting their flanks. We also have to remember that we have our unit of Desert Stalkers, the Sepulchral Stalkers, Eyes of the Desert, whatever. Since they have stock, being Sepulchral Stalkers, I believe originally they didn't have stock, and people were complaining, and a couple years down the line it got added. Now they can move hidden, and we can use them just sort of as dire wolves and bats, and then after they're done with their job, moving into the main battle line. Now, speaking of the main battle, I really had to think about this, whether we wanted to try to surround the enemy host or try to play up the choke point thing. On the one hand, choke points generally play into the strength of the Dwarven army, because the Dwarves are a slow, immobile defensive faction. If they can get a line across like this, they can't really be flanked, although they could technically be rear charged if we were to go around there. Now, obviously, a single unit of something like Iron Breakers is probably one of the, if not the best unit in the game at holding a line like this. In fact, if it was just a small bridge, a unit of Iron Breakers probably hold that forever. So once again, that's definitely to the strength of the dwarves. However, it's also not to the strength of the AI, because it doesn't really understand how choke points work. It's not really programmed to behave any differently. I really feel like the programmers of the AI should have given it a flag for how to behave in choke points in particular, especially these choke points where there are two separate areas. The AI seems to always funnel to the one that's closer to the main bulk of your own forces instead of doing what it should be doing, but hey, whatever. You can hear my doggo barking in the background. So yeah, now that the enemy host is approaching, we're going to do a tactical retreat and have our ghouls run off. They're going to get chased a little bit by the Dwarven warriors, but obviously they're too slow to catch them, and we just don't want to get hit by the warriors with great axes, or the hammerers, or the longbeards coming in. The thunderers are starting to get their volleys off. That's all a little bit too dangerous, and we run back across the dunes and fade away into the desert. As well we should. So, the purpose of this is, one, to replace hurt ghouls with fresh ghouls. These ones have taken a little bit of damage, especially this one. We're going to swap them out so that they can go around and act more as flankers, whereas the healthy ghouls can start making a line here. We are going to go for a choke point at the end of the day, mostly because if all of their melee are tied up here, we can try to go after the range units. We will have to tie them up with all of our dire wolves, with our sepulchral stalkers, and with our bats, and any other ghouls that are waiting over here that we can get to go around and charge them as well. So the line is going to form up quickly, not going to be much of a battle here. And you know what? Our brand new, temporarily in this army, Ushabti with Great Bow unit. Take a look at these guys, since we haven't yet. Take a shot. Take the shot. Come on. You're gonna miss it. You're gonna there we go. So one of the benefits of this particular unit is they're a shield breaker unit, and that's obviously helpful against the dwarves in particular. If we can get a nice angle of fire for them, that's going to help against these guys when they line up. Certainly the enemy has more melee to call upon than we do, but we do have the monstrous infantry to keep them back. Plus, we have Walkoff himself, the Desert Ghoul being a particularly good melee fighter, as we've seen thus far. And you gotta love his dual-bladed weapons. I like this guy. I think he's my favorite of the first three that we... three of the semi-legendary lords that we have thus far. But that could be biased with the fact that we've themed him out with the ghouls here. But he's working quite well. Alrighty, so here come the bats and the doggos. Now, obviously, Quarlers are actually, being dwarves, fairly decent at surviving this sort of thing. So they may very well do a lot of damage, if not downright kill those units. Of course, they can't hurt the Eyes of the Desert, because even if they're anti-large, they can wreck something a weaker unit like this fairly well, so the Thunderers are definitely going to have a bad time. Now, the main battle lines appear to have collided finally, and we are going to get some damn blasting charges thrown in at us. I saw that, and I immediately got these direwolves to stop attacking these quarrelers, send them around like this to try to charge these freaking blasting charges. I also have the Ushabti focusing them down, but that is going to take a little bit longer than I'd like, so we need the doggos in there right away. I'm also keeping back 2 units of Crypt Ghouls just in case we need to swap a unit out. As we've seen before, they do take damage quite quickly, or occasionally, and then they die quite quickly to crumbling, so the ability to swap out from reserves makes a lot of sense to me. Also, we do have, once again, our caster this time, so on top of the entire army, we're going to get the Foz protection, as well as the Baroness Time Warp. So early on, we should be able to deal a lot of damage and not take a crazy amount of damage to the attacking dwarves, especially I'm hoping that this negates their charge, essentially, from all the Longbeards with the great weapons and the hammers and stuff. I'm hoping that the melee defense provided by Foz protection and the damage resistance just completely negates that. At least that's the plan. I don't know if it works out, but it certainly seemed to. Alright, let's take a look at all this. King Walkoff's in right here, in amongst his ghouls. Another reason that it sort of makes sense to follow Xar the Faceless. You could say that the ghouls are faceless because they're, well, they're not really skinless, but, you know, sort of makes sense. I'm just trying to clutch at straws here. Anyway, you can see we're doing a decent job tying up the enemy range units. They're not firing into our ghouls, which would be very, very dangerous, and that's exactly what we want to avoid, even if we're not doing a lot of damage to them. Like, they're not really dying. Most of them are at half HP. These ones were hurt from our earlier attack, but finally, we're gonna get some ghouls in. Unlike the bats and stuff, the ghouls can do a great job at killing quarrelers and stuff, even if these are quarrelers with great weapons. What an obnoxious unit, though. Just spam quarrelers with great weapons and just a full stack and win. Sort of like Lothar and Seaguard spam, basically. Maybe a few shielded quarrelers as well. Anyway, we do have, unfortunately, 1 unit of Crypt Ghouls that got caught by this Dwarf Warriors, but even if this matchup very much favors the Dwarf Warriors because they're a frontline infantry unit where the Crypt Ghouls are not, it's still going to take them a while to deal with this because A, they're poisoned, and B, we have the Realms of Souls going, so that's pretty darn nice. The miners and blasting charges finally coming off the field, having been taken out by the direwolves. We're going to chase them and make them stop that. Unfortunately, this other unit of direwolves over here fighting the quarrelers got way too damaged, partially I think by the Lord that came in here to help. And the bats, once again, their attack is not super high because we didn't they don't have buffs in this particular army, only the ghouls do, so the bats are just very high melee defense and not very high melee attack. But hey, they're still doing their job by using their melee defense and just tying up all these units. The Smokeless Stalkers, once again, still doing a great job here. This Thunderers unit is basically dead, and they're just going to finish them off fairly soon. And I think with the ghouls in here, the enemy range component of their army is spoken for. Now, that doesn't really solve this situation, but it certainly helps with not losing tons and tons of ghouls, so that's pretty good. Now, over here, we do have a sort of slight angle for our Ushabti with Great Bow. They're launching their Great Bows, I believe, at this unit of Great Weapons Longbeards. I believe that was the one I targeted. I don't exactly remember, but it doesn't ultimately matter which one we target so much, as long as it's as long as their arrows are hitting the press, applying their debuffs, and doing some damage. A little bit of extra damage into our own units, but not a huge deal as they have a sort of side area right here. Oh, unfortunately, one of the Crypt Horrors goes down here. He looks like he had a bad time. But also, I believe the enemy got their Thane in, and oh, Patriarch, he also has a nice buff for himself to try to fight our Tomb King. I would like to see the duel. Oh, and he's being supported by his hammerers over here. Come on, hit each other. I literally just want to see this duel. There we go, finally. Alright, so Walkoff actually hits him pretty hard, and Walkoff doesn't take a lot of damage himself. Of course, this guy seems to be trying to smack some of the ghouls around, but probably not such a great idea when Walkoff is smacking you around as well. Look at him drop, and he's almost at half HP, whereas our Tomb King's at, what, above 75? Pretty darn swell. And I like the fact that this is a Tomb King that is just straight up on the front line, within the press, even against fairly elite units like hammers and great weapons, which, if they were to surround him, would certainly do a lot of damage. And look at all these bloody Dwarven corpses over here. All of these are coming from our Ushabti with great bows. And we do have this unit of Crypt Ghouls waiting in the wings. The reason I did this after I had moved in the reserves, actually, the reserves didn't so much move in as they went around like this. I actually took out this unit that was fighting these Dwarven warriors, it's moving out here, and sent in a fresh one. Just so that these guys don't die. These guys should be able to take these Dwarf warriors out, whereas these guys, now that they're hurt, so that they don't suffer leadership, are going to just keep chasing all these range units around, which were being mostly killed. As you can see, we've lost 2 units of bats and 1 unit of direwolves thus far, just tying them up. But the ghouls did pretty darn well. There's still a few quarrelers left, but basically the range units are done. We are now finally moving in our Sepulchral Stalkers to try to approach the main line. The enemy Thane is routing. You can see a Shem's Burning Gaze coming in perpendicular to the enemy battle lines out of our caster. Moved him all the way over here just to try to spam that a little bit. Obviously, the dwarves have their natural magic resistance, but it's still pretty nice when it applies to everybody here. Plus, it is armor-piercing damage as well. There we go. I keep forgetting my damn keys. Okay, and let's see. I want to see the Sepulchral Stalkers come in. I believe I was originally telling them to charge this Dwarf Warrior unit so that they don't get away, but then I realized that the Direwolves had finished up with the Miners and can now do it themselves. The Sepulchral Stalkers, however, have a massive advantage when they are positioned properly with regards to their range fire. That is a crazy amount of damage coming into the backs of these units. That's one of the great benefits of them now having stock. They can properly position themselves for this. Granted, they're still designed to be anti-large, but they do a lot of damage. And now that these guys are taking fire and being attacked in the back, a lot of them are starting to rout at the same time. The Thane has routed, and I believe there's a Runesmith now in here as well, who King Walkoff is also fighting. He's certainly acting like a melee duelist lord, as he should be, and now that these guys are all routing, the Sepulchral Stalkers are joining in, and all of the dwarves are done for. The chain rout is in, the Lord is still fighting, but the ghouls are victorious. One great mob chasing down the stragglers. I don't really see any point to the dwarves running, and I feel like it's unrealistic. I'm almost completely sure they would have fought to the death here. Like, I get that they're not, whatchamacallits, Slayers, that's what I was looking for, but I don't know. Fighting right outside of one of their holds and against an army that was much faster than them, I feel like they wouldn't run. Maybe they'd do a tactical retreat, like sort of moving backwards and staying together, but I don't think they'd all break like this. Very undwarven, but I suppose the same thing is true of various factions. The Lizardmen, I don't see Saurus warriors routing either. Rampage certainly makes sense, but not running off the field. Skinks, yeah, but not Saurus. They're not really smart enough to run. Alright, and anyway, I'm going to speed this up. Yeah, we're going to just chase off some enemy units, but this is just so that we don't have to deal with them next turn. They are coming out of a garrison stand, so every single one of them has to die. The Thane, or the Runesmith and the Thane, both lost to King Walkoff, who's still fair, like, what, 75% HP, maybe 80% HP after the last Realm of Souls? Pretty good. We didn't even need to, or were able to summon our Realm of Souls, our third level Realm of Souls, Ushabti, because we didn't take that many casualties. Very, very nicely done by all the ghouls and all the sacrificial units. I'm very happy here. Close victory, it says, but I feel like that was a decisive, or if not a heroic victory in my mind, just because of all those long beards and hammers and all those crazy units. And there it is, glory to the ghouls. Maybe sometimes the auto-resolve does know exactly what it's talking about. The enemy army absolutely obliterated despite the fact that they had better units all around. I am very, very happy with that result. Of course, that probably wouldn't have gone nearly as well if we had not gotten that choke point battle, but damn, whatever god the desert ghoul prays to was certainly on his... Oh, Xar was on our side that day. And yeah, with that, I believe this army is basically destroyed. We also lost a unit of hounds and a couple units of fellbats, but that's fine. That's literally what they were made for. To tie up the range, and if they died, who gives a damn? We can recruit them all in one turn. Now we are going to... We can replenish a little bit. I do expect to auto-resolve next turn. Actually, we probably shouldn't even need to. I think we're fine. We could just take the harvest organs for the extra canopic jars. I am so glad I didn't back off. Oh, and I love the fact that this army didn't even need help. Armor gain for Arkhan. Oh, well, that's just lovely. I don't care about the ratings so much. I care about this. We're obviously out of time, but I do want to take this. I hope that the auto-resolve doesn't kill half this army, because I don't trust it. But I think it'll be fine. Yeah, it's fine. And so end the dwarves. We could sack this for 10k, but we're just going to occupy because it takes a long time to build stuff here. Starting it at level 3. It has a... It has a royal barracks here. I think we're going to keep that one. I mean, I know that it shouldn't be in this particular place, but it'll be okay. We will definitely need to build a bunch of buildings here. I'm going to decide on what to build between the episodes and what to do with this. I'm still a little bit shocked that that went as well as it did. Good job, everybody. I will assign the skill points between the episodes. Same with the building stuff. Razor Sack, Vulture Mountain, that was clearly not ever going to happen. I guess we could have sacked it for the 10k. Maybe I should have done that. I just felt like if we sacked it, it would go to level 2, and then we definitely would have lost the Royal Barracks, and then leveling up to level 2 with the relatively slow growth that we have here, because it's in an unpleasant climate, would have been a little bit annoying. So I think we made the right decision, even if it's 14k less than we could have had. Anyway, as I said, calling it here. Stay tuned next time for the death, probably, of the Dune Kingdoms, which have already basically destroyed themselves. There's an army belonging to Numas here, and I would absolutely love to attack them here. But the problem is if we attack them, they'll ignore our armies here, and they'll just attack like this. And while Khemri can defend itself, Zandri needs another 3 turns before it can. And I really don't want to lose Zandri. On the other hand, it is sorely tempting. Alright, maybe we'll see next time. I gotta think about this. Regardless of what we do with Numas, we will be attacking the, and probably destroying the rest of the forces of the Dune Kingdoms. I don't think they have more than 1 army left. We can probably auto-resolve at least one of these battles, and then we could just move up north and start dealing with Numas and shoring up the rest of the desert after that. So with that said, as always, I do appreciate any and all feedback in regards to the gameplay or the way I do things on this channel. If you have a second, please do take it to leave a like and a rate, comment to support the channel. It really, really does help. As always, all glory to the algorithm, and thanks for watching.